Hello there, it's Hob again, and I'm finally going to be talking about my Umamusume customs. And unfortunately for most of the video, I did not film any of the painting whatsoever that I did, even when I was finishing Ogre, I knew I was making this video. So I am not very prepared for this, so we just have to do with photos for like half of the work in progress. And obviously this is a love letter to Umamusume, because I love my little horse girls. I love my horse girls. And I had these really old costumes sitting around since I made them when I was like 10, and they were old and they were crusty, and I got model paint for Christmas. So I started working and I was like, why don't I make Umamusume horse girls? So I did. So the first one I started on was actually Manhattan Cafe, even though I finished her after Haru. So first I started with this old base. I think it was like a giant old pony. Most of them I got from my cousin, and so first I had to take off all the old paint and nail polish because it was like gross and was peeling off. It wasn't as bad on that horse, on Cafe's base, as it was for Haru's, because hers was all like sticky and gross, so I washed it all off. And then first I decided to actually make sure she was primed, because I've had issues with paint peeling a lot, so I made sure to use a brush-on primer to prevent the paint from peeling. And then first I started with a base coat of, I think I used a dark blue mixed with brown and gray to make that kind of blackishy brown color, because it kind of looks like Cafe is a cool black, but she's actually warm black technically. So I tried to make it, because I had to mix her base coat. And then I basically just base coated her. And then I decided to make her horseshoes gold, because Cafe, she has a lot of gold accents in her design. And I used my Artex acrylic golden marker, because I technically do have gold paint, but I just thought it was easier. And I wanted to use my acrylic markers, since I also got them for Christmas. And yeah, I did her shoes. And then I decided, since she has those stripy arm warmers, arm garters on her inner signature racewear, I decided to paint some yellow stripes on her front legs, and they didn't turn out super even because I didn't really draw them out, but I still think they look pretty good despite how bad I actually did them. And I also decided to make sure to add Cafe's signature chai, which I sculpted from polymer clay and added the details on with another acrylic marker, and then I just glued them on to her body. And when I started on her head, I included Cafe's blaze from IRL Cafe, and I made sure her head is like semi-realistic, since I also made sure to add the pink at the base of her nose and in her blaze. But I sort of mixed her in-game design, because I repainted the inset eyes, because I think I would have had to destroy the whole head to take them out. So I repainted them like Cafe's eyes, which is like a yellow-black gradient. And then I obviously painted the ears like a lighter pinkish shade. And then I added some more like gray splotches with a sponge brush. It's like a sponge on a stick around the body to make it look more realistic and fur-like. And then finally I rerouted the hair with, I think it was a warm black and white for her little like cowlick. And then also for her earring, I have a bunch of earring bases from making a lot of resin stuff. So I used that to create a base, since I chopped off the hook part. And then I just used polymer clay to make her actual like charm. And then I just super glued it on. And I actually really like Cafe. She's big, but she's really pretty. And though obviously you can tell in the photos I haven't brushed out their hair, so it's like a little wild, but I'll make sure to do that. And then so next we're going to go on to Haru. Haru, she's made with a much smaller base than Cafe. It's almost like a little pony. And she was pretty simple. I just made a pink base. Oh no, first I actually sculpted on band-aids, because that's a very good thing. Well, an important detail in Haru's design is her band-aids and stuff. And I also sculpted that on along with her headband and her like ear cuffs. I don't know what they're called, but they're her like ear cuffs out of epoxy clay to make sure it stayed on the body. And then I primed everything, and I painted her with a base of pink and then like a darker reddy maroon color for her like details. And then her cutie mark is a is her bow, but it's supposed to look like a bow band-aid. I don't think I achieved that well, but I still think it's pretty cute. And then I painted her eyes, and if you see, she has that sakura flower in her eyes, but I knew I couldn't paint that right, so I just used like a white shimmery sakura glitter in her eyes, and I used UV resin to make them glossy. And then I already had the pink hair. That's why I finished her before cafe, because I had pink hair for her. So I rebooted her hair, and it did like pop off some of the clay parts, which wasn't great. So you can kind of see those errors because I decided not to fix them. She's still the paint's a bit cracked, but I think she's really cute, really small. And then finally we have Christmas Ogre, because I was like, wouldn't it be cool if I turned a fake ogre android to look like Christmas Ogre? So that's what I did. So I took everything apart and I stripped all the paint. So then I did a lot of sculpting. I sculpted her skirt and then her like upper skirt thing. And then I sculpted all the details on her arms and her head too. So I had to repaint like almost everything, obviously because the colors weren't right. And unfortunately she doesn't have her like belts because I don't have any like styled gold chains that I can use for her. I might add that later, but I also might not because it's not like an important detail. I did accidentally adjust the size of a lot of things, like her bell and her flower are like huge, and so is her bow, but it covered up a lot of stuff, so I didn't have to sculpt and paint it, so it did save me a lot of time. And I think she looks pretty good, other than the fact her is like super clean. But at a point, you just call it done. And she's really only for me, so there's a lesson to learn for the future. And I love Ogre Cap, and she's so cute. And so here are the glamour shots of all of them, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Hello there. It's me, Ogre Cap. She actually turned out pretty good. I messed up a bit on the details here, so she's not as detailed as I'd like her to be. And of course the fake, her eyes are misprinted, so she's kind of got a bit of, she kind of looks funny, but I actually am quite proud of her. You can see if the camera will focus. Oh my god, camera, focus. On her little diamond there. You got the other one there. I made sure to gloss it so it's shiny. I don't know if you can see that here. We got her bell that I made giant, and then I flocked her little pom-pom here. So it's actually fuzzy. Wow. You can't really feel it, but it is flocked. And yeah, here's Ogre. I have painted her other parts so I can pose her, but they are not in my possession currently. They are outside my recording room, so I can show that later. But I'm also really scared of chipping her more because I've already chipped off a little of the paint there, so annoying. But I think she's really cute, other than the fact that she's a bit cross-eyed. And I am Ogre Cap, and I love to eat food. Hamburger.